flippant's the word. I always end up flippant when I'm put in a position of someone telling me something that I find totally and utterly banal. However, it's fascinating. You can't give me any evidence, it would seem.
Well, all I can suggest is you read the Gospel of Thomas.
All of it. Thomas? Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. You told me it was contained within Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Well, it's no good telling me to read Thomas, is it? If you'd like to send me the Gospel of Thomas, I'll be happy to read it. But to date, James, go on.
It's part of the Nag Hammadi.
Well, James, I'm not really bothered what it's part of. I would willingly and probably enjoy reading the Gospel of Thomas. But during the course of this conversation, you have told me that you can substantiate your beliefs from the 4 regularly published Gospels.
Yes.
You're now telling me that you can't.
Well,
can you or can't you?
Yes.
Then do so from the 4. I will still read Thomas if you'll send it to me. But in the meantime, tell me where the 4 I've already read say what you claim they say.
To start off with, it was a lavish wedding.
We are aware it was a lavish wedding, which is why I'm somewhat surprised that these 2 people, neither of them who had a bean together, were able to afford it. And if they weren't, who paid for it? And why?
With servants.
Answer the questions.
Jesus Christ's family paid for it. That's what you're trying to get me to say.
No, I'm not trying to get you to say anything.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because Jesus wasn't a humble carpenter's son. He was the legitimate crown prince of Israel. He was at the heir to the throne.
Oh, well, that's it then. That solves everything. Where does it say that in the Bible? Or are we back with our Tom?
Oh, it's, well, if you read the Testaments and examine...
Are we still talking about the Matthew, Mark, Luke and John?
Yes.
Where does it say? Yeah, you keep telling me to read the 4 Testaments. I'm hoping that you have. Tell me where. Where does it say in there? He was a crown prince.
Well, he was obviously...
it's now deduction. It doesn't say there. I'm not interested in obviously. Obviously always means this is how I perceive it. That's what obviously means. It is obvious to me. It's not obvious to me, so you've got to make it obvious. You tell me which bits of the Bible I need to read in order for it to become obvious like it has done for you.
Well, he wore white robes. Start off with.
I went out to dinner the other night wearing white robes, and I'm not the crown prince of anywhere.
No, but you weren't born in Israel 2,000 years ago.
Okay. And so he wore white robes. So only the king wears white robes? Even the bastard king?
2,000 years ago in Israel, the only people who wore white robes were members of the Essene sect.
Yeah. It tells me this in the Bible as well, does it?
Yeah. No, but it doesn't tell you that in the Bible.
Will you confine your evidence to the Bible? You did say that I can get all this information from the Bible. Now, you'll damn well confine yourself to that, or you'll get off. Because you've already upset an awful lot of people listening to this programme. Not me, because I don't give a monkey's cuss about Jesus. Well, as far as I'm concerned, he was just a bloke that got crucified. Fine, there's a lot of them did.
And he didn't.
Well, all right, then I'm prepared to believe he didn't. I really don't care. He doesn't mean anything to me. He's just a guy in history like an awful lot of others. The Duke of Wellington, Genghis Khan, Jesus Christ, are just blokes in history. They don't mean anything to me. But you are currently trampling on the corns of a lot of people that listen to this programme. Now, I don't mind you doing that, because I don't mind offending people. But I don't like jerks offending people.
Now, listen, Mr. Beswick.
No, I won't listen. You'll listen. You will listen. You will listen. You will listen. You will listen for a moment. What you will do is you will substantiate your beliefs. You will acknowledge and convince me that they are contained within the normal Bible, or you will retract it. If you don't retract it, fine, you'll convince me, you'll try. If you do retract it, fine, we'll pretend you didn't say it. The reason we got onto this subject is because you said that Jesus Christ, or that the Freemasons today were the descendants of Jesus Christ's blood. That means, that inevitably means that Jesus Christ created offspring. If that is what you are saying, I'm asking you to substantiate it. You told me you could substantiate it with the ordinary Bible. You have so far failed to do so. Now do so now. I can do no more than give you the opportunity. Otherwise, I will be considered to be unfair. And I don't mind that, but I don't want it this time because, quite honestly, I think your perverse view cannot be substantiated by the ordinary Bible. Whether our Tommy can do it or not, we'll have to wait until you've sent me the blurb. But for now, you're stuck with the ordinary Bible. Give me the evidence or get off the programme. I don't mind which.
Well, there's a book by Michael pagan.
He didn't write the Bible. I want the evidence from the Bible. You said it would be contained within the 4 Gospels. That's Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. Give me the evidence or get off.
It is contained.
Tell me where. Tell me where.
Well, I haven't got the 4 Gospels.
Get them and ring me back. Get them and ring me back. Until then, I will disbelieve you. And I think that is perfectly fair. If you can come up with the evidence at a later date, I will hear it. If you want to write to me and give me the references when you've had time to look them up, I'll be happy to study it. Till then, I will consider you, sir, to be totally and utterly wrong.
I see.
It's your job to convince me.
Okay, I'll do that.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Good night. Reports will be given in a week's time if he writes. If he doesn't, I'll probably forget. How do Susie?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'm curious, if the guy was so rich to hold a wedding reception, why the hell did he run out of wine?
Well, the truth is that whoever was so rich to run the do ran out of wine, if we believe the Bible.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. I mean,
that really wasn't my call, but I was curious.
But I also,
that if the guy...
I mean, I don't know whether you've ever done it, but I've thrown parties sometimes and run out of booze because we had a load of gannets there.
Yeah, but if you got a prince there, at least you'd expect him to stock a decent amount of wine, wouldn't you?
But the decent amount of wine sometimes runs out. However, what did you come on about, Susan?
About the Freemasons.
Go on.
My husband tells me that he was approached at work to join the Freemasonry. Now, I am very curious because I know little about Freemasons, apart from the book, The Brotherhood, which I've read on your recommendation.
Good.
And...
What did you think of the book?
Oh...
All right, so
I was absolutely shocked, to be honest.
Go on.
To know that so many, famous people were involved in it. Considering I knew very little about it, and I'm in a position as a woman to know, to get to know very little about it.
Absolutely. The one good thing about having Mrs. Thatcher as a Prime Minister is we know she's not a Freemason.
Yeah.
However, to the point, Susie, it's your programme. You tell me what your point is.
Well, I'm curious because if as they say, it isn't so secret, are the Freemasons listening prepared to tell us a little more about this?
Well, first of all, there are Freemasons listening that will tell you a little about it. Their argument is that it is...
Very little.
Well, they will tell you... You see, the Freemasons say that their organisation is not a secret organisation, but an organisation with secrets. And I understand the distinction between the two. I'm not saying I support their declaration, but I understand the difference between the two. There are secret organisations. A secret organisation implies to people like me, who are inquisitive and naturally nosy, implies that they've got something to hide. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have. It is perfectly true that when I was a member of a rugby club, we didn't publish all the things we discussed. We didn't even publish how we decided who was going to play in the first team. So you could argue that we were an organisation with secrets. The thing about the Masons is they have all this, what I regard to be theatrical stupidity, the ritual. But it's the ritual itself, in modern times, is harmless. Now, the allegations levelled against the Freemasons, and they are often unsubstantiated allegations, are that the organisation is pernicious. The organisation uses its secrecy to hide its dubious activities, manipulating courts, manipulating power within the land, manipulating all sorts. And to be frank, there is little evidence to support that. Indeed, the book The Brotherhood, which in my view, and it's, I suppose, a
real eye-opener.
Well, it is an eye-opener, but it also goes a considerable way to say that most of the things that happen, that Freemasons get the blame for, are not actually caused by Freemasonry. I offer to you the suggestion that if I crashed my car and killed a baby, the headline in the paper would be, Chat show host kills baby.
Yeah.
Yes? Just like if the vicar gets arrested for drunk driving, it says, Vicar arrested for drunk driving. Whereas if it's Joe Public, who's not a vicar, then it doesn't say so. It doesn't say tool fitter arrested. It says man arrested.
I agree with that, Alan.
So when Freemasons, not Freemasonry, when Freemasons do something wrong, the implication is frequently given that it's Freemasonry that's done it wrong, which of course is untrue.
No, it's the people that are within the society.
Yes. So to know that 1 or 2, or even 100 or 200 Freemasons have committed offences or been unsavoury characters isn't necessary to condemn the organisation. They are not being unsavoury characters as a result of being Freemasons. They are being unsavoury characters at the same time as being Freemasons, and that's a different story altogether.
But do you not think, Alan, that the fact that it is a male-orientated society, that women are not allowed to attend meetings, even though they're married to the men who are involved?
Well, yes, but
suggests something that is underhand.
No, it doesn't. It suggests that they don't want anything to do with women during the course of their meetings. My grandfather was a druid. They didn't have women in their meetings. I was a committee member on the rugby club. We didn't have women in our meetings.
No,
we didn't
obviously
need to.
There aren't women druids. Well, there are now, but
there are now.
There weren't.
I don't think there were then.
There aren't many women rugby players.
That's right, but even where there are, they're not allowed in. I'm a member of Lancashire Cricket Club, and do you know, I can go to the cricket with my father if I wanted to, and if he could find the time, because neither of us seem to be able to, but I could go to the cricket with my father, and we could go into the members' library, and we could have a read of the cricket books and have a cup of coffee or a glass of beer or whatever and watch the cricket in comfort. If I wanted to go with a female, I couldn't. I couldn't take my mother. She wouldn't be allowed in.
I'm not getting at the organisation as being sexist. I'm getting at it as being,
yes, but Susie, Susie, all you've said is
the fact that he's not allowed to discuss, not supposed to discuss with me what goes on at the meetings. Which
that is right.
To me
he
is
isn't.
Wrong.
Well, why is it wrong?
Well, I don't have any secrets from him. Why should he have any secrets from me? That is not a good basis for a marriage, is it?
That is something, as I was about to say, that you should consider about your marriage, not about Freemasons. Freemasons say, look, this is the club. These are the rules. If you want to join, obey the rules.
Well,
if you
I am
don't,
against my husband joining
that is your privilege, and that is something you should address to your husband, but that doesn't condemn Freemasons. It isn't wrong for an organisation to say that they wouldn't want their members to discuss what goes on at their meetings with their wives.
Why should it be so secretive?
Well, that is a matter for them. It's their club.
But then it's wrong.
Well, all right, it's wrong.
It's destroying a marriage.
It isn't destroying the marriage.
Of course it is.
Let me say to you, I'm sorry, Susie, let me say to you, here and now, that if your husband thinks more of his oath to Freemasonry than he does...
No, he's only been invited to join.
Listen to the statement.
Joined.
We're not talking about your husband, we're talking about other people's husbands.
Yes, I understand that.
If a woman's husband thinks more of his allegiance to the Freemasons than he does of his wife, then there is something wrong with the marriage.
Yes, I agree.
But what is wrong with the marriage wasn't caused by Freemasonry.
I think I'll move in the shed.
I've got a better idea. Put him in the shed.
Yeah,
all right,
that's
Susie.
a good idea.
Ta-ra. But don't forget to put him in there with his slippers on, his left breast exposed, a rope round his neck, and his trouser leg rolled up. All right,
yes, exactly.
All Freemasons go paddling on one leg. How do, Alan?
Alan?
Yes.
Alan, yes. Changing the subject a bit.
Go on.
Metal detecting, I don't know if you're familiar with it at all.
Yes, I do.
It's a hobby, a glorified hobby of mine. In fact, I'm going to Italy on holidays. Now, it's never actually... They don't know much about metal detecting out there. I'm just asking, do you know anything about the laws abroad? Are they the same,
no.
The same as here?
No, they're not the same as here. No, I don't know anything about them.
No, and second point, and I won't detain you, is I'm driving over to Italy. Are there chances... would there be complications of taking a metal detector?
I wouldn't have thought so, but it would be a good idea to take the Do you know the book that you get with it?
The manual.
The manual.
Yeah.
I'd take that with you just in case you're fritting them.
Yeah.
But to be honest, if you're driving, I don't suppose anyone's going to know you've got it because they don't search your car.
I thought they did. No.
Nah. Not well. They never have mine. I've been across on the ferry a few times. They never have. If you go to Ireland, they do. To Northern Ireland.
You do metal detecting sometimes.
Good Lord, no.
No.
I'm just saying they don't search.
Oh, I see.
Better things to do with my car, with my town, than wondering about following a stick round.
Well, no, it's good. It's good fun, really.
It may well be. I have certain reservations about metal detecting.
That's if there's any chance, Ellen, if there are other people listening, getting away from Freemasons if we can, to have some arguments about metal detecting.
Well, I don't know about arguments, but my only reservations about metal detecting aren't related to the metal detecting themselves, wandering about with the thing going beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me. A guy wants to do that all day, fine, we all get our kicks in peculiar ways.
Yeah.
What does sometimes, or what does always concern me, is those people who do it irresponsibly and basically turn over archaeological sites and do a lot of harm and damage, and that bugs me.
Yes, there is a code of conduct.
Yes, but unfortunately it's not enforced and cannot be enforced.
True, there are a lot of people, I realise that. Gladly I can say that I'm not one of those people. I have a lot of respect for the land, an awful lot of respect. But it is a hobby.
Yes, but would you agree,
Yes,
Alan,
absolutely.
that the majority of people who are involved in metal detecting at any one time are new to it and only going to be in it for 6 months or so?
Yes.
And so they come in, they have all the fun they can have, they run about all over the place doing damage, and then they pack in. People like yourself who maybe have been doing it for years and have learnt the code of conduct and adhere to the code of conduct and actually support the code of conduct aren't the ones we're worried about. It's these guys that suddenly think, oh great, I think I'll buy one of them, and they buy one and out they go with a big stick going all over these places,
That's right.
doing damage. Now that brings metal detection as a hobby into disrepute, but I think it's well earned disrepute many times.
Yes, well, I see the point. I mean, there are a lot of people like that. I know, in fact, with magazines that sell the machines, quite a few advertised, going cheap. People, as you've just said, buy the machine, and within 2 or 3 weeks they're fed up.
That's right,
And
but they've done a lot of damage in the meantime.
In that time, they've done a lot of damage. Yes,
So it has an inherent danger that perhaps we ought to say, well, let's ban the damn thing.
Yes, well, I mean, as I say, for me it's a hobby, and I can see, even actually when I'm out with the machine, I'm embarrassed, to be quite frank. I mean, it's a ridiculous hobby.
Well, I'll grant you that.
But what I do find interesting is that, I mean, on beaches and things like that, the amount of things that you can find. I don't mean coinage, something that's just been lost 2 or 3 weeks ago, stuff that's been lost maybe even longer, 50, 60 years ago. It's interesting to find that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it is. Anyway, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Bye.
Hello, Tim.
Yeah, good evening.
Evening.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused, Alan. I've listened to your show quite a lot, and I've listened to your arguments over the last couple of days that you've had with various people, discussions about Freemasonry. And I'm a little bit confused by the kind of multiplicity of the various definitions people have put on Freemasonry. And what intrigues me is we've just had a chap about 10 minutes ago talking about the continuation of the bloodline of Christ. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, as I understand it, Freemasonry was actually introduced during the Egyptian period, during the pharaohs, which would imply, of course, that it was actually in existence before Christ was born, and therefore that could not have been the objective.
I'm sure that the problem with Freemasonry is its history is a secret. I've heard claim that it came from the Knights Templar, which were after Christ.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
So I don't know which is correct, because it's a secret.
The only thing that I can suggest that might point to the fact that it is or does have its roots in Egyptology is simply that there's an awful lot of symbolism which is very comparable to a lot of symbolism used in...
But they could have just stolen the clothes.
Of course they could, yeah.
And indeed many organisations have done so before, rather like Christianity stole Christmas off the pagans.
Right. Now the thing is that I would suggest to your listeners who've been involved in the various discussions about Freemasonry in the recent past, that in fact the only people who could possibly give you accurate information about Freemasonry, of course, are Freemasons themselves.
Well, Well, I don't know that even they could.
I think perhaps your hierarchy could, but of course they wouldn't
Quite.
be prepared to come on a phone.
They
and
would
tell
not
you.
indeed. In fact, the hierarchy of Masons, I would suggest, would be critical of Freemasons who do
Indeed.
come on.
Indeed. It's intriguing because I think Freemasonry gets a lot of slating in the press and has done in the last few years especially, simply because it's the secrecy and people's ignorance. And I think it's just a basic human nature that people resent things that they don't fully understand or basically fully know about. And I also think that people are very, very wary of the fact that Masons seem to have this kind of cliquish attitude in terms of business as well. That they seem to forget that Masonry is not just about being a Mason in terms of the secrecy aspects, but also about being a community of people who help each other in various other ways. I mean, if you look at a silly small example is if a Mason dies and the family that is left behind is struggling, then the Masons will pay for children to go to special Masonic schools or whatever. So it certainly is more than just...
But we have had people coming on this programme, and we have no way to check their bona fides, but we've had people coming on this programme saying that exactly that situation arose, and they got no help at all from the Freemasons.
Yes, well, funny
Indeed, there was one on Friday,
Yes,
making exactly that allegation.
I'm not prepared, obviously, to kind of name names, but I do actually know of somebody that happened to.
Well, yes, I'm sure we all could find someone if we sought. However, we still have these allegations.
Yes, that's true. Well, I'm quite intrigued anyway, because, I mean, it seems to me there's an awful lot of people who've been talking to you and firing shots in the dark.
If someone was critical of an organisation that I was involved in, and if they called the credibility of that organisation into question, simply because they didn't know, the one thing I would want to do would be to tell them and let them make their decision on the basis of the information as I saw it.
Indeed.
The thing that people suspect, and I suspect about the Freemasons, is that they will not come clean. They will not say, well, this is what it's about.
Well, I beg to differ again. I don't know if you're aware. In fact, it's a shame I haven't still got one with me, but there is a brochure that the Freemasons issued about 2 years ago,
Yes.
giving a basic, not obviously not a full, but a basic outline of what Freemasonry is about.
Yes, I've read that leaflet, and the leaflet is somewhat sparse of information.
Well, I think
And as all public relations exercises, it is a very, very faint and nonetheless bright-coloured brush that they painted it with.
Well, of course.
I mean, if it was done as a PR exercise, what is needed is the truth.
Well, I think it was done as a basic means of kind of giving it some respectability or reinstating its respectability.
Indeed. So perhaps, as that has clearly failed, and the evidence of the last week on this programme is that it's failed, perhaps now they ought to come clean and tell us what it's all about. If they have no regard for their, what should we say, identity, then fine. Because when people start criticising me, my answer is, say what you like, I don't care. But I'm not an organisation. I've got other people to be responsible to. I've only got me. If I was an organisation, I would want people to respect me as an organisation, to respect my organisation. If people started to slag off Red Rose Radio, I would defend Red Rose Radio. And I would defend it by honestly stating what I know to be true. But if they're slagging me off, then fine, let them get on with that. I'm fair game, given what I do for a living. But if they attacked the organisation, then I would defend it. But who's going to defend the Masons? Nobody. All they'll do is bung out some little tuppenny-halfpenny PR leaflet written by some wonderful intergalactical Freemasonic Saatchi equivalent. I mean, what a pack of crap. It doesn't matter. What we want is we want to know why. Now, either they daren't tell us, because that'll blow the gaff, or they won't tell us because they don't care, or nobody actually knows, which is even more horrendous than thought.
Can I just make another point about the religious aspect?
Feel free.
The chap made earlier on about the kind of Christian element, and that is that if you think about it, you heard quite correctly, I believe, somebody said that the only prerequisite of becoming a Mason is that you must believe in a higher being. some call it the great architect in the sky, some call it God, as you pointed out, Allah, God, whatever name you want to give it, it's the same thing. Now, if that were the case, if it were the case that it had a Christian element to it, or a predominantly Christian element to it, I would have thought that the first or basic prerequisite was that in fact you believed in Christ as being the Son of God. And
one would inevitably feel that, yes.
And therefore the argument that the other gentleman put forward, that it was for the purpose of continuing the bloodline or kind of symbolizing, if you like, the bloodline of Christ, it seems fairly irrelevant to me. I mean, surely the prerequisite would be a belief in Christ as being some kind of deity.
That one would expect, but he didn't actually make that point. Perhaps I should have put it to him, but I had better things to fry at the time.
Right.
Okay.
Let's leave you in peace.
Thanks very much, Tim. Good night.
Can you believe it? A complete luxury fitted bedroom of real quality for just £350 plus VAT. It's true. At M&S Fitted Bedrooms of Preston and Bolton. For £350, we'll design, plan and fit 2 wardrobes, 1 bridging unit, 2 corner displays and 2 bedside cabinets. Do not buy a fitted bedroom till you've visited M&S Fitted Bedrooms, 342 Blackpool Road, Fulwood, Preston, or 156 Blackburn Road, Bolton. But hurry, this offer's for a limited period only. Open Monday to Saturday 10 till 4, Sundays 12 till 3.
Along Blackpool prom, don't wear out your shoes. Take the beachcomber service on the baby blues. From Ginn Square to Pontins, buy a ticket to ride. 8 buses an hour, morning to night.
Take the Baby Blues along Blackpool Prom for 30 pence, or buy a weekly ticket for £3. Baby Blues stop at all the recognised bus stops from June 29th.
You just can't beat the baby blues.
Hot diggity. Howdy, Carl.
Hello, Alan. I thought I'd get in touch with you before I go to my solicitor. I got a slight problem, double glazing, door-to-door salesman type stuff. 14 months ago, we had a double glazing man round, give us all the ins and outs of double glazing and what have you. Really good bargains and all the rest of it. Really convinced myself and my wife. So we took him on and we had the whole house double glazed. Right? Now, 14 months later, we started receiving bills in, for the double glazing.
Well, one would expect to get bills.
Why?
Or was he giving it away?
Well, no, he said it'd pay for itself in 12 months.
Oh, God, it's a joke. Get off! It's 9 o'clock. It's not 9 o'clock.
Alan,
it's 9 minutes to 2.
Listen.
Go on.
Listen, I'll excuse you for that one because it is 5 to 2, and you're not really awake, are you? Yet?
Oh my heck!
Oh no. Listen, can I just put a quick joke over?
No, we never do jokes if they're warned. I'll do to Mark.
Good evening, Alan.
Yes.
Good morning, I should say.
That'll do. What can we do for you?
I'd like to say a quick word about the nuclear business.
Go on.
Nuclear weapons and all that. Bit of a problem, isn't it?
Well, I've no problem with it.
Well, it's a bit, we get rid of it. We get rid of our nuclear bombs. But they don't. How are we sure that they're going to get rid of theirs?
Well, if they don't, we're not sure. In fact, we're sure they haven't.
But have we got...
What point are you making?
Pardon?
What point are you making?
Well, can we be sure if we, what's it called when one country gets rid of theirs and the other one? Is that unilateral?
That's unilateral, yes.
Well, if, say we did the old unilateral, got rid of ours. Have we got satellites that would check their nuclear stations that would find out if they got rid of theirs?
Well, if it's unilateral,
yeah,
they won't have got rid of them. There's only us done it.
Well, say we put forward multilateral
and they agree?
Yeah.
Then yes, we can check.
We can check?
Yes.
It's not possible for them to keep a couple back.
No.
It's one of those subjects that's a bit nerve-wracking.
Well, you eventually have to come to a conclusion. Well, you don't have to, and you appear not to have done. I'll do to another Mark, the final caller tonight. I'll do.
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
Can I talk about supernatural powers?
Go on.
Well, I've got this problem. I was having an argument with Dad the other day, and I managed to, like, float the telly and throw it at him. Is there anything I can do? Because I think I've killed him.
Is that funny?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was.
What does that prove?
It proves you're a cretin. Hello, Alan.
Hello, child.
Hello, Alan. Alan. Alan, you're a cretin.
I've never been so deeply hurt.
Honest, you are.
Have you really got nothing better to play with at this time of night?
Please listen to my ditty. It may not be very witty, nor even slightly funny, but it will help save you money. For me, from cradle to grave, I aim to shop and save. I buy out I need, for next to nought indeed. There's meat and veg and cheese and pigs and booze and clothes and cars and sweets and pigs and pet food and household things. So shop and save a load down Blackpool's Waterloo Road, in the market they call New, and Overt Road, the M2. Thank you. Poetry in prices, from the New Market and M2 Market.
It's the place to come, where shopping can be fun. The Newmarket Waterloo Road.
So there we were, browsing through the swimsuits when this gorgeous hunk came up to us.
He didn't.
He did. He said, you look like the sort of girl who's just booked her holiday with National Travel World's late booking desk, saved a fortune and got herself a microwave for only £79. So I thought to myself...
You didn't.
I did. I thought, how did he know? Turns out he's only a plumber from Preston and was in the queue behind me at National Travel World. But he took advantage of 10% discount on any item over £100 at Central.
He didn't.
He did.
If you want a last-minute bargain holiday plus a microwave for only £79, book before the 30th of June at National Travel World's late booking desk.
Come to Pepper Lane Chippy soon. We're never closed, because we're always peeling taters, fishing for the freshest fish in town, or baking a selection of mouth-watering pizzas. Visit the Pepper Lane Chippy in Pepper Lane off the main Preston Road, Standish near Wigan. Which reminds me, fee, fi, fo, fum, Pepper Lane Chippy, here I come.
Norman double glazing. Norman, always fit the best. Norman, for service, Norman leads the rest. Norman double glazing. Norman, don't hesitate, phone Norman on Blackpool 852-158.
Bill Kenyon here, Chairman of Wigan Athletic FC, with news of some fantastic season ticket discounts if you buy yours before the end of June. We're offering stand tickets from £58.50 for adults and £55 for juniors and OAPs, along with ground season tickets for just £38 for adults and £25 for juniors and OAPs. There are also huge savings in the family enclosure, and membership to the Vice President's Lounge and the exclusive Latix 100 Club are now available. Make sure of your Wigan Athletic season ticket now. Just call in to the commercial office at Springfield Park or call Wigan 44433. A deposit paid before July the 1st will secure the reduced rates.
Writing competition this week's fairly easy. What year did England win the Football World Cup? Top 10 singles from the network chart for anyone that knows that and is the first out the act with a correct answer. And your answers must come to me, Allan Beswick, Red Rose Radio, P.O. Box 301 Preston, PR11YE. By first post, Saturday. Goes on a bit, that, doesn't it? It's time for the old good night, children!
I can see you yawning. Good night, children.
This time you're in bed, so I say goodbye, children. Don't sleep in your braces. Goodbye, children. Wash your dirty faces. Drown your sorrows. Bring the empties back tomorrow. Goodnight, children. Goodnight. Goodnight, children. I can see you yawning. Goodnight, children. See you in the
If you want to meet yours truly, well, this coming Saturday you'll get the opportunity to do so, because at 2 o'clock I should be at Moorfield School, which is in Moor Park, Preston. I'll be opening their summer fair. And the following Saturday we're at Charo Kitchens, Freckleton Street in Kirkham, opening their new showrooms. And if you're out and about in Manchester, no, rephrase, if you're out and about in Blackpool tomorrow, keep your eyes open for Mike Harding. He's out there with a load of children from Manchester. It's the Taxi Driver Association's day out, and they take loads and loads of kids to Blackpool for the day, and Mike always goes with them. So if you see him, give him a wave, give him my regards. I shan't be there. I'm going to Birmingham for the day tomorrow. I get all the best jobs, but I'll be back in time for the programme tomorrow night at 10. Till then, have yourselves a grand night. I'll leave you in the incapable hands of Derek Dynarod Webster. A big cheer! Hooray! Hooray!
The 2 o'clock news, this is Steve Allen. It could be make or break day for the two main unions in the civil servants dispute. Left-wingers in the biggest union want an all-out strike, and this could provoke a split. Here's our industrial editor, Mark Mardell.
Leader of the Civil and Public Services Association, John Ellis, will be hoping desperately that he can argue down the militant supporters who now rule the roost in his union. They want a ballot for all-out strike action. Mr. Ellis is convinced they'd lose, and so any chance of a settlement would disappear. But if they do plump for a full-blown strike ballot, that will shatter the united front with the second biggest civil service union, the SCPS, which will be reluctant to go down a road which its officers believes leads to certain defeat.
The former Lord Chancellor, Lord Hailsham, has launched an extraordinary attack on the controversial Bishop of Durham. Dr. David Jenkins has been a thorn in the side of Mrs. Thatcher's government, and in a speech last night, Lord Hailsham accused him of pontificating on the gap between Britain's rich and poor. We spoke to Lord Hailsham at his club, the Carlton in St James's.
I would tell him to be a little more humble and a little more charitable, and to study his facts in a more scholarly way. I don't mind his interfering. What I do mind is his talking nonsense. Most intelligent people rather resent it when these churchmen, who are not particularly well educated, try to tell us what we ought to think.
Home Secretary Douglas Hurd has urged Social Democrats to join the Tory party. Mr. Hurd says the Social Democrat break from Labour took moral courage, and he says SDP members should think of joining the Conservatives as they consider the possible merger with the Liberals. Hollywood dance star Fred Astaire has died in hospital in the arms of his wife Robin. Astaire, star of the hit series of musicals, was 88. His death was caused by pneumonia. His wife, who was 46 years younger than him, says he was ready to go.
He got weaker and weaker, and he finally just stopped breathing this morning. He died in my arms. He knew I was with him, and he was happy. He was ready to go.
Britain's first sexual abuse unit opens in Greater Manchester this morning. The centre will provide special training in the handling of abused children and aims to coordinate the work of charities, social workers and police. Tennis fans will be hoping for better weather today after rain turned the first day of Wimbledon into a complete washout. A steady downpour kept the tarpaulins securely fastened over all 18 courts all day. Chief Executive of the All England Club, Chris Gorringe, says in future they may have to consider giving people their money back.
It may be something that we'll have to look at yet again. We have looked at it in the past, obviously, but it's very difficult with a game like lawn tennis played in our summer. But we have a lot of sympathy, obviously, with the players and the spectators.
Health Minister Edwina Curries turned bingo caller for an evening to raise money for charity. She was launching a national campaign by bingo clubs to collect cash for the Women's Cancer Control Campaign.
Independent Radio News.
24 hours a day. Red rose leaves, all that you hear today. Stereo. Derek Webster on your nightline, coming to you loud and clear.
Yes, back to 1971 with that one. McGuinness Flint, and one that I haven't heard in absolute ages. Malton Barley Blues. Morning, Webster with you again at 6 minutes past 2 in the morning. The morning is young. Stay with us for some great things music-wise. Good company through till the crack of dawn itself. Here's Martha and the Muffins and Echo Beach. That's Martha and the Muffins and Echo Beach. Right, some great music for you this morning from the likes of the band, Judy Clay and William Bell, Diana Ross, Deep Purple, coming up later. And on the coffee break today, just after 3 o'clock, it's music from, can we call this music? I'm not sure if we can really. It's Noel Murphy and the Bricklayer song, by popular request, slapped all over it as well. So you better listen to it, because it'll be the last time we play it for a while. Otherwise people will be saying, oh, not again. So that's coming up after 3. There's also a red rose pen to be won, to be ripped from me grasp, around about 3:30 on our phoning competition. That's around about 3:30ish. There's an anagram for you to work on, and no doubt a word or two from you as well, as the morning sort of gets its way through the night, so to speak. Or we get ourselves through the night into the morning. That's more like it. I get the impression it's going to be one of those mornings. Gets better, and then it gets worse, you know. Sort of sags halfway in the middle, this program. This is Cliff Richard, his new one. You see him on telly last night?